Hello all. So today we're going to cover how to set up your FreeCAD. I have the version 1.0.2. You can see here up top. So we're going to have what we're going to do for exercise number 1 for the CNC. Okay, so I'm going to do from beginning to end. And I'm going to talk over it so you guys can understand everything I'm saying or that I want you guys to do. All right. Okay, so first thing is we're gonna create the model that we're gonna cut, right? So I'm gonna create a new file. So now that I'm in part design, I'm not gonna cover this, but I'm gonna just talk over it. So I have to create a body, and now I have to create a sketch. I'm gonna make sure, again, write down your steps. Make sure that I'm gonna sketch something on the X and Y plane. All right, and the next thing that we're gonna do is I'm gonna make sure I connect the beginning of this to the origin, right? Why do I have to do that? Because whenever we set our home in the CNC, sometimes we don't remember if the home was here and we put the home on the bottom left of the CNC, the piece is actually going to go towards the outside of the CNC, right? So that's why we put it here. So I know that whenever I put my end mill here to actually zero it, then I know that it's gonna cut like a up into the right into the CNC board there. Okay. All right. So I didn't put dimensions before, so the easiest way to do this would be actually for this version, you can see that it highlights the dimensions of the sides, so I can just type 100 tab 75, and then I already have 100 by 75 millimeters. So if your FreeCAD is not set up for the CNC yet, we have to make sure we select that metric small part CNC. So we have to run in this dimensions mode here, or units mode. All right. So first we do a 75 by 100. I'm gonna escape. So now I'm out of there. So now I'm gonna pad, and I am gonna pad 20 millimeters. The reason why I chose 20 millimeters is because the stock that we are working with is about 13 millimeters. So I kind of overshoot that a little bit because as it's actually cutting off on the sides, I can always actually stop my cut, once it's gonna make it pop out. So I measure my stock and I know that's 13, and then I just add a little bit more, right? Otherwise we risk actually going and cutting around and leaving a little bit of material there, so the piece is not gonna cut off completely, So that's our first block. I'm gonna click here on top, I'm gonna sketch again, and now we're gonna create a pocket. So then I'm just gonna put anything there, escape, and I'm gonna create a 5 millimeter deep pocket. Right, so this is the piece that we're gonna use. So now I can just click on the part design, and I'm gonna go to the CAM workbench. Okay, inside of the CAM workbench, let's see. Let's start by actually setting up the tools, which is kind of like a tricky, as either you guys already saw it in class or you guys are gonna see it now or see it in class. So this is the 2-bit dock. For me, I've already done this, so I have things here, but what I would like it to do is, or what I'm gonna do now is actually I'm gonna go here into my FreeCAD, and I am gonna delete my tools and everything that I have here. Okay, so now I don't have the tools anymore. And I'm also gonna delete my the file that I exported, you know, CNC test.nc. So this was the, okay, so I don't have anything anymore. Okay, so I can go into the 2-bit doc and it's gonna say the 2-bin working directory was not set up. Do that now. So you want to have this pop up. Otherwise, if this doesn't pop up, we're gonna cover in the second step here. Okay. So man, I feel bad that you guys can see me. So let me put me there on the screen. Oops. I don't want to take a photo. I'm just gonna add myself there. What am I doing? What am I doing? All right, so now you guys can see me at least. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the 2-bit working directory is now set up. Do that now? Yes. So now I'm gonna choose where I want to save my tools, right? So for you guys, so for those who never had the files, that pop-up is gonna come up. And then, so what I did was I clicked on this create folder here and I created FreeCAD. Then you go into FreeCAD, I create another folder and I go call tools. All this under my home folder. Okay. So I'm gonna click on the tools. Oops. Rename, I want to tools. Okay. Tools, I'm gonna click tools there and I open. Okay. 2-bit working directory. Do you wanna create this subdirectories? I say yes. Can I copy files to those subdirectories? Yes, yes. Okay. So now you've seen that there is this this menu on the side here. Okay. So now that you have the menu, there's still one thing missing. Okay, and we're gonna do that now. So if I go into my FreeCAD, now I have tools that I created. So inside of bit we have stuff there, inside of library we have stuff there, and inside of shape we have nothing there, and we need those shapes. So what we're gonna do is those shapes are inside, so I'm gonna go CD / snap. So I'm actually start typing and then I tab it just so I make sure I type it correctly. Second, to make sure my whatever I'm trying to go exists. Okay. All right. So CD is snap and then FreeCAD. Let's see, 1634. If yours is if you don't find anything under 1634, let me know. But you can check on typos too, you know. 1634, let's see, I'm gonna tab just so I can see what's in there. So we're gonna go user, and then we're gonna go mod, and then we're gonna go cam, and then we're gonna go tools. So this is the command that I use: cd snap FreeCAD 1634 user mod cam tools. Okay. So that's where we are now, right? Oops. Okay. So that's where we are now. So I do ls. I have the same things that I have inside of the one that I just created, but I need the shapes, right? So actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy everything, right? So we're going to copy what? I'm going to recursively and forcibly copy everything that's inside of this folder to where? To my home folder, and then FreeCAD, and then tools. So what I did is like at the tilde backslash here, they mean my home folder, and then I started typing free, and then I tab just to make sure that the subdirectory exists, you know, the ones that I'm looking for. Okay, so now if I hit enter, we move everything in there. All right, so that's the work that we had to do here. So again, this is for somebody that didn't have any of this set up. Okay, so I can come back. So the other option is when it did not ask for you for to create the file. That means in the past you've already done this at some point. So either you're gonna try to go and look for it in here. So if you have a FreeCAD toolbits or whatever you have there, then you just have to link your old files to the new working directory here. So you can come and click on the editor. So like actually everybody's gonna click on the editor, but like you can come and click on the path, and then you can find the path. So here it says what's the tool library path. My tool library path is inside of FreeCAD, inside of tools, and I just select. I don't double click, I just select, and I do open. So if yours wasn't showing, now it should show, right? Oh, I don't know where it is, so we're just gonna go and copy and create like a new one, just like what we did. Like we actually overwrit what we already had because FreeCAD created for us. But what we're gonna do is like if we just copy into anywhere, then we can all link right now. Okay. All right. So when we're here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a toolbit. So when we create a toolbit, it's gonna ask you, please select a shape. So we can go into the shape folder, and you see that all those kinds of cutters that we have there. Ball end, bow nose, chamfer, dovetail, you know, like whatever cutter shape we have. So for us, we're gonna create an end mill. Okay, so let's open, right? So now I'm gonna have to I have to add a name to my toolbit. Okay, so we're gonna be using a 1/4 inch end mill. So I did sorry. 1/4 inch end mill, and I'm gonna save there. Okay, so it should show as my last tool there, and it should not disappear, right? Some people, what they did is that they created, it shows in there, and then as soon as I try to do something, it actually disappears, right? That happens because whenever I'm creating this toolbit, I'm gonna click it again, end mill. I can actually save it anywhere, right? Do you see that right now we're inside of FreeCAD, tools, and bit? If I save it here inside of tools, FreeCAD's not gonna find it because like he's expecting to find the bits inside of the bit folder. Okay. So I just want to make sure you guys understand that, like the tool that you create has to be created inside of the bit folder. Otherwise, you can even come and add existing, and it's gonna show up here, and then it's gonna disappear, you know, because it's not like inside of those working directories. Okay, so now I can actually double click on the quarter inch and change or add some details about it. So for us, the only thing that's gonna make an impact is actually the diameter of the cutter, right? So that's the. So for me, we're gonna do a quarter inch, right? So for me, it's the easiest way is just to do 0.25 space IN, and I'm gonna hit OK. If you go it again, you see that it created at 6.35 millimeters. So it is the conversion for me, the unit conversion for me. So the other ones we don't have to do anything. So like the length, the cutting edge, the shank diameter, we don't have to do anything. We can just like leave it like that. Okay. So that's what we have. We already have our tool ready to rock. Okay. All right. So now I can go back to model. Now we're gonna start the work, right? I'm gonna click on job. It says, oh, you wanna create a cam profile using your body number 1. That's the only body that I have, so I say okay. All right, so let's look at what this information is here. So the first one, it says stock. Stock is like how much material you have to cut your piece from the stock, right? So if we change here, we can pretty much tell what this is about. See how when I add 5 here instead of 1, let's add 10. I increase whatever material I have it on the side here, because that's my stock, you know. Eventually, let's say if you add a lot of stock on the sides, you're gonna more than just cut it out. You're just gonna actually remove a lot of material that you don't have to remove, right? So usually what we do is we just keep it at 1, because we just want to take like 1 pass around and that's enough. Okay. In this case, I don't want to actually cut anything from the top here as far as like polishing or something, and I also don't feel the need to actually cut on the downside, like underneath it. Okay. So my stocking Z, I'm gonna do 0. So I'm gonna go leave the other ones 1, and these ones are gonna be 0. Okay. Also, this doesn't make much difference, but I think it helps. And just so like we all do the same thing, you know. So remember that I put my piece start right on the origin, but I want it to actually my origin to be up here. So then when I bring my cutter, it comes down here, and then it touches something, and then it goes to do the work, you know. So otherwise, like imagine the numbers, like if I'm gonna start here, if this is my 0, I'm gonna start at 0 or a positive sign or a positive number, and then when I'm cutting, I'm gonna cut towards the negative number up to the minus 20 millimeters in this case, just because like that's my thickness, right? If your origin is in the bottom, then you have to start cutting into the plus 20 and cut all the way to 0, you know, just like a. So I usually would like to just work with the numbers that are easier to see. Okay, so I'm gonna click it right there. Now this menu here, the set menu, will stop at grayed out, right? So I'm gonna do link stock and model. I'm gonna do x equal 1, y equals to 1, and what? and z equals to 1. Good. So you can see that my origin was moved up. All right, so if I go under tools, now we're gonna add the tool that we created, right? So I can either go add and find the tool there. So it was inside of FreeCad, inside of tools, inside of it, and then I can choose the one that actually has the data in it. So then it appeared my tool, the number of the tool. If I would just add a tool from here, it would actually carry over with the number that the tool has over there. Okay, so this was number 2 because I added through the browser here. But if I would add from, let's do it. So I can come part inch and mill, and I can just go add to job. All right. Okay. So now I'm gonna remove this old tool, this default tool. See that the quarter inch that I just clicked on and I do add the job, it brought the number 10 just because it's number 10 over here, you know. But that number doesn't make any difference for us. Let's remove the one too. So this is my quarter inch and mill. So I'm gonna actually add some speed here. So this is the speed that my cutter is gonna have once it moves horizontally in millimeters per minute. So let's say it's gonna be like 1,000 millimeters per minute. And then this is the speed when it's running vertically. And the spindle, we're gonna go 800, actually 8,000, sorry. Okay, so now we have our block set up, we have our tools already lined up. All right. Okay. So now I can start working on the operations, right? So now we're gonna create the operations. So the first operation that we have to do is everything inside of our piece, right? So for example, if we have pockets, if we have holes, because once we do a profile, which is the operation to cut this piece off from the stock, now that's gonna be loose, right? So you wanna make sure your piece is being held down still when you actually do all the work inside. Okay, so to do the pocket, we're gonna click on the bottom of the shape there. So that one has a shape number, right, or has a face number, and we're gonna see it now. So I'm gonna click it there, it highlights it, and I'm gonna go into pocket shape. So if you go into base geometry, then we have whatever is the face number. So if I wanted to add more places that would have the same operation, let's say all the depths, all the speeds, and the same tool, then I can just add, so it's done all at the same time, right? So I can just come and add more faces, or I could just have like a control, like a held control down, and actually click on the various bottoms of the pockets, you know. So it has to be also the same depth of pocket, otherwise it's not the same attributes, right? So we're gonna have to create a different operation. Okay. So now we go to depths. So because we put our origin here, our start depth would be 0, or I would start like a little bit above 0. So like, let's say I'm gonna do like 5 millimeters, so like half a centimeter above it. Okay, and then final depth of this is gonna be at like 5 millimeters, right? Because actually that's the depth of the pocket. Okay, The step down, right now it's 1 diameter, and you can click here on the blue and you're gonna see operation 2 diameter. So you can leave that, or like later on you're gonna understand more how much material you should take per pass, you know. So that's what's gonna make an impact on what value would have to have there, okay? So let's say right now I think we left with everybody just the 2 diameter. And there's no finishing step down. That means like if you wanna make a nice finish on the bottom and you take rough cuts, like a bigger cuts, then the last one is nice if it's just like a polishing pass, you know, just a finishing pass. Under heights, it's imagine like whenever I come here to do this work and I have to go back to replace a tool, we're gonna have this travel. So whenever we're traveling, we're gonna use this safe height or clearance height. So we're gonna move it around either from one operation to the next operation, or from one operation back into home, so we can replace the tool. So what I'm gonna do here, I don't think we had to add anything, but like we're just gonna add just for to get used to it. So what I'm gonna do is plus 20 millimeters there, right? And it's gonna show the result. We're gonna do okay. Plus 20 millimeters. It's gonna go okay. All right. Now the operation itself, it's gonna be using the tool controller, so like the tool that we left in our job. If you didn't delete the default tool, most likely there are gonna be multiple tools under this drop down. Okay, and then you have to select the correct one. So let's go ahead and just do apply. And you're gonna see that now we have this operation created here. Okay, so if I go okay, I can actually click here on the CAM simulator. I'm gonna reduce the speed and I'm gonna play. So that's pretty much everything that my tool is gonna do once it all right, good. So this is my operation that I created, but like you can see that we actually left some barbs or some material that was not cut, right? So we want to fix that. So now instead of actually doing OK, we're gonna hit cancel, right? If for any reason you hit OK, then now see how the cut material is gonna still be showing there. It's gonna be difficult to work when it's like this. So we can just click on this cut material and then we can just delete it, see? And then it's gone. All right, so we can go back into the operation that we created. So in the operation, it's like a tree there. We can go into the pocket. And then now I can change the pattern. So like the pattern we're gonna use is the zigzag offset. If you apply, you can see that now we added like one pass along the walls, which that's what's the offset, right? So it does the zigzag and then it does offset. Okay. Also, we have this step over percent. Step over percent means like there's no overlap between passes. So if when the tool is going that way, it's coming like this. When the tool is coming back, it's not gonna overlap the same path that it already took, right? So it saves time. However, it's very common that it's gonna leave some like burrs right on the bottom, like right in between the passes, right? So we can add like an overlap. So if we want to overlap by 10%, we can go 90 here. And if you do apply, you're gonna see that it created like maybe a couple more line passes there. Okay. So it's taking, so that's operation number 1, right? Now we're gonna go for the operation number 2. So for the operation number 2, it's gonna be to cut this piece out, right, from the stock. So for the software to know the boundaries of my cut, I can either cut here, and I go into pocket, and then it knows that that I don't want to cut this. But see, in depth, it says start depth at 6, final depth at 0, which is not correct, right? So I'm going to cancel this. For it to actually understand what's the start point here and what's the end point, I would have to actually click on all the sides. So I'm actually holding Control and I click on all the sides. And now I can just go and do the same profile. So again, now if I go to my depths, see how it's actually starting my cut at 0. Starting my cut at 0 and finishing my cutting at -20, which was the thickness that we set up for this guy. Okay, so we're gonna do the same, right? We're gonna come here and do like a 5 millimeters on top or 2, you know, just so we get used to actually making a pass, like a hovering there. Save heights, we're gonna add the 20 millimeters there. And then the operation, now the one thing that's very important here is actually to tell that we're gonna cut on the outside. So yeah, so like my side is the face that I selected was here, so it's gonna cut on the outside and not on the inside of the face, right? Otherwise it will cut our piece. We can apply, and now you can see that there's another operation that was created there. Okay, good stuff. All right, so we can actually go back and do a simulation again. Now it should actually clean the sides because we switched between zigzag to zigzag offset, right? And there's something that's interesting here. Let's wait for it to finish. This is, sorry, the simulation is important because now we can see exactly how we're gonna end. So see how it doesn't, the square that I put down had like 90-degree angles. However, I can't make a 90-degree angle because I'm using the 1/4 inch like end mill there. See? So that's something to note, you know. Okay, so I'm gonna do cancel. Let's say I like it. I like it. So now I'm ready to export, you know, whatever this is. So I'm gonna have to go into output. So I double click at the job, go into output. I'm gonna choose my processor, it's gonna be Centroid. And I'm gonna choose what file I wanna write. Like that I wanna export, right? So I'm gonna click on these 3 dots. Let's say I wanna create on the desktop, I'm gonna create CNC test. And I wanna put an extension .nc there. CNC test.nc. Save. So that's where it's gonna create my file. However, it's not gonna create now. I have to come and double click and make this whole piece green. And then now I can select my post process here. So if I don't select post process here, is grayed out, right? So that's why I have to double click so it makes it selected. And then I'm gonna post process. So like this is actually the code that the machine is gonna run, right? However, I don't have to do anything with this. I don't have to copy. I just do OK. And actually, if I go into my, let's see, I'm gonna open my feather pad. I'm gonna go into the, like I saved inside of in my desktop, and I saved inside of CNC test. Okay. All right. So this is all the operations that the CNC is gonna follow, right? What's interesting is actually like if we change tools, it's gonna write down. See, it has which operation it is, pocket shape. So sometimes So it makes it easier for you to locate. Let's say I want to make some change, like I don't like, so I start cutting, and then let's see that my spindle speed shouldn't be 800, should be like 12,000, or shouldn't be 18,000, should be shouldn't be 8,000, should be like 12,000. So what I could do is I could come in here and just change this value here, because we know that. So how do I know the M3? Like, so what do M3 mean? So I can actually go into the internet somewhere and say like a G code M3 command. G-code M3 command uses a CNC machine to start the spindle rotating in a clockwise direction, right? So it says probably turn on the spindle clockwise, S8000, I imagine it's like speed 8000, right? So each of these things, so like sometimes we can come here and just add it, you know. And now actually we're gonna do that on the exercise number 2. So you guys get used to actually finding things and doing things over here. Okay. All right. So now you just, as I said, like you just have to save this with a short name, because the display on the CNC is not big, so like it's gonna actually do the first few characters in a tilde. So if we have like let's say John 1 and John 2, most likely it's just gonna show John tilde, because it's kind of long. So I'd say like keep it to like 5-6 characters. Actually John's pretty short, so John would work, but yeah. All right, so this is how you do the whole setup and export. If something didn't work, go back and do it again. If you created this in a different axis, sometimes it's just easier to delete and go and do it again. Okay, and the fact of doing several times it also make you remember what you just did, right? All right, thank you guys. The next step would be recording the how do you actually run the file with the CNC. All right, thank you.